Imagine waking up tomorrow with an extra $1,000 in your bank account every single month, no questions asked. Sounds like an absolute dream come true, doesn't it? But what if that dream comes with some hidden consequences that you didn't think about? What if universal basic income, or UBI, doesn't just change your finances, but changes the entire economy? In this video, we're diving into the real-world experiments that could hold the answer. Will UBI create a better future, or could it backfire in ways that nobody expected? Stick around, because there's one major lesson at the end that could change how you think about money forever. So I know what you might be thinking. This universal basic income idea sounds really good in theory, but it would never actually work in the real world. UBI isn't just a theory, though. It's not just some concept to debate. Governments and researchers have actually been implementing in UBI in countries like Finland, Canada, Brazil, Germany, Spain, Japan, and you might be surprised, a groundbreaking study just finished right here in the United States. We now have the results of the unconditional income study, where a group of people were given $1,000 a month for 3 whole years. No conditions, no need to pay it back, just guaranteed income. So how did it work? What's the results? What's fascinating is that across all these experiments, the results were, well, mixed. Some places saw really great benefits. People felt more secure, experienced less stress in some cases. They were even more motivated to work. But in other places, the outcomes were not as straightforward. This tells us one thing: UBI doesn't have a one-size-fits-all answer. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of the data. This is the part where you might actually be pretty surprised or even shocked by what UBI can do. From 2020 to 2023, Open Research conducted a study with 3,000 participants to see what would happen with guaranteed income. The key question that the research sought to find out was, does giving people cash actually improve their lives long-term, or does it simply offer a short-term fix? For this study, people received $1,000 a month, while others in the control group only received $50 a month. The setup gave researchers a clear way to see the real impact of what guaranteed income can do for you. So let's break down who the participants were real quickly. The average yearly income was around 30 grand, so some higher, some lower, but the average was 30 grand. They were aged between 21 and 40 years old, and they came from rural, urban, and suburban counties across both Texas and Illinois. And this was a really diverse group representing young, low-income Americans, and the data collected was really quite impressive. Over 97% of participants completed regular surveys and in-depth interviews. Basically, they were getting paid, so they were motivated to participate. So what were the key findings? For those making under 50 grand a year, the extra $1,000 per month was a game changer. It helped cover rent, food, healthcare, and other essential expenses. Many participants said it gave them a sense of financial security that they had never experienced in their life. But for people making over 50 grand a year, the extra $1,000 wasn't as impactful. Sure, it was nice to have, but it didn't change their lives dramatically. Most of these participants used the money for extras like savings or some extra entertainment, maybe paying off a little bit of debt, but it didn't really improve their day-to-day well-being the way it did for the lower income earners who were just living so close to their money. So what else did these UBI tests teach us? First, let's talk about work motivation. One of the biggest concerns people have about a UBI type program is that it could discourage people from working at all. And after all, if you're getting free money from the government, why would you go to a job that you hate? I mean, that makes sense. But the data told a really different story. Most people still wanted to work, even with guaranteed income. In fact, in some cases, UBI participants were more likely to pursue jobs they actually enjoyed or invest in their own education and skill building because they were no longer in the position where they felt the pressure to take on just any job to make the ends meet. Next, we saw significant mental health benefits in the study. With financial stress reduced, many participants reported a much lower anxiety level, better mental health, and an increased sense of security. Just knowing you have a safety net can do wonders for your mental state. Imagine not having to worry constantly about how you're going to figure out how to pay your bills or buy groceries. Now, onto physical health. This was an interesting area. While reduced financial stress did lead to short-term improvements in health, like lower blood pressure and less anxiety-related illness, the long-term physical health benefits were less clear. People felt better mentally, but they didn't always translate that to lasting physical health changes in the study. And then there's the really big question: how did people spend their money? When you get free money, how do you spend it? Contrary to what some might think, most people didn't blow their UBI money on luxury items or frivolous purchases. In fact, the majority of recipients use their money on basic necessities, things like rent, food, healthcare. For many, UBI provided just enough of a cushion to keep them afloat, especially those living paycheck to paycheck. When you're living really close to your money, that extra $1,000 was a big difference maker. Now let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the cost. Can we afford UBI? Sure, UBI sounds amazing, free money for everyone. Who wouldn't want that? But when you scale it up to an entire country the size of the US, the price tag gets pretty insane. A nationwide UBI program in the United States would cost trillions of dollars each year. We're talking about numbers so huge it's hard to even wrap your head around it. So how would we pay for such a thing? There have been a few options thrown around. We could, of course, raise taxes significantly, especially on the uber wealthy and the corporations. Of course, they're the ones kind of writing the rules, so, good luck with that. Or we could cut spending on other government programs, though that brings its own set of challenges. After all, cutting services like healthcare, which is already in bad shape, or education, which is definitely in shambles, or our infrastructure, which we know is aging, could do more harm than good. Another option that's been floated around is using savings from the automation and advancements in AI, which are expected to create massive productivity gains in the future. But again, these are all really complex solutions with no easy or obvious answers. So who benefits from UBI? One thing that we know is clear from these studies is that the people who benefit the most from UBI are those who are at the bottom of the economic ladder. For individuals and families living in deep poverty, the extra $1,000 can make a life-changing difference. It can mean the difference between putting food on the table or going hungry, or between paying for rent or facing eviction. But for those who are already doing all right, people in the middle or upper middle class, the impact is less dramatic. UBI gives them a little bit of extra breathing room, sure, but it doesn't drastically change their standard of living. This raises an interesting question. Should UBI be targeted only at those who need it most, or should it be given universally? This is one of the big debates surrounding UBI right now. A targeted approach could save money and help those who probably need it most, but it wouldn't exactly be universal. So where do we go from here? Where does this leave us with UBI? It's clear that while UBI has some real benefits, it is not a silver bullet solution. It won't magically fix all of our society's problems, and there are serious challenges, especially when it comes to figuring out how to fund this thing. But as automation and AI continue to reshape the economy, UBI, or some version of it, will almost certainly play a role in the future of our social safety nets. It might even become absolutely necessary as traditional jobs are replaced by automation. So here's my hot take on the situation. The government isn't going to rescue you. It's incumbent for you to create a means to provide for you and your family. Whatever plan or program is created will be designed to keep people out of poverty, and it's not going to make you rich. It will be a social safety net similar to Social Security or Medicaid or Medicare. It's nice to know these programs exist, that they're out there, but you don't want to rely on them. You want to invest in assets, and the most valuable asset is you. And that's why you're here on YouTube learning, so you can invest in yourself. And if you want to learn more about money, building assets, and investments, I have communed with the algorithm to serve you the best possible video right here. And I'm confident that it's worth $1,000 a month, or at least a like and subscribe. I hope you enjoy.